Okay, let's try this again. Take two. Welcome everybody to Make Shift Happen, the spiritual variety show happening every week live here in our group, Ignite Your Joyful Heart, where we talk about different subjects. Yeah, different subjects. Hi, everyone. All those that are new to me, just come on in, come on in. This is Tammy Lee, the founder of the Emerald Compass Sacred Sisterhood, and Ignite Your Joyful Heart, where we dive deep at times into what's going on within us and around us. And today we're talking about emotions and how we can be with them and so that they do not take us out. Yeah, the wind blew me in. All those that are new to me, I am not only do I have my work that I do as a highly intuitive facilitator of transformation and healing experiences, but we also have a farm with approximately 400 head of cattle. And this morning I was with my husband going out what we call digging out musk thistle, which is, for us here in Kansas, we consider it a weed. And once it spreads, it's kind of like a great big dandelion. And once it spreads, it actually grows and it creates havoc in our pastures to where the cows won't even go around it for some way. And so we dig it up and we make sure. And so that's what we've been doing. And I'm like, oh, I got a show at noon. And it's like, okay, you know what? It is what it is. Because if I allowed the emotion of thinking, I'm not ready, I don't look right, you know what? It is what it is, right? But if I allowed that emotion, if I allowed the thought of I'm not 100% prepared, I don't have all my makeup on, whatever those thoughts could be, my brains, they're all, if I allowed all that it would take me out. It would take me out, which it used to do. And that's part of why I am here. That's part of why I do the work I do. If I can help to facilitate the change within you, that I have facilitated change within me, to where the emotional body, healing that emotional body. Because see, we have 4 different bodies. We have our physical, emotional, mental, and spiritual. And there may be more that I am yet to discover. And sometimes we just got to let it go, let it be, and just go forward with how we are. So all of you that are joining, there is a link right above me on this screen. It says streamyard.com/Facebook. If you click on that, I will be able to see your comments because I want you to be interactive. I want you to be interactive. And let's see if I am live now in the group, in the Ignite Your Joyful Hearts Facebook group, because that's where we go live every week, Wednesday, noon Central Time. And yes, it looks like we are. Awesome. So I was live just a moment ago, and I noticed that. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to delete that little video because people might jump on there thinking, oh, well, it says I was live, but it could actually be a lesson. So let's just leave it there. So everybody take a deep breath, because I don't know about you, but I need one. Oh, yes, yes, yes. As you join, as you come on in, to the sacred container of talking about make shift happen and how we facilitate that shift, that change in our life. Because I just got off the phone activating 2 cell phones, 2 new upgraded cell phones. Who all has done that? And you think it's only going to take a little bit. And I even asked the lady helping me, hey, I got to be on live. And at 30 minutes, like 30 minutes ago, she said, oh, it won't take that long. Sure, we'll get there. No big deal. It's like 12:01. I'm like, I gotta go. I gotta go. This is she's like, okay, now we're all done. You go get on your call. I'm like, girl, it ain't a call. This is live. And I don't even got on my makeup. But you gotta just let it be, right? So, truth. How many of you have allowed yourself, thinking you're not prepared, thinking you're not totally done, thinking I don't want to present myself in a certain way, actually allowed that to take you out? How many of you have allowed that to happen? And it's actually, when you end up showing up, you realize it doesn't matter to everyone else. It was all here in our own head. It was all here in our own head. See, that is part of this, of becoming the emotional maturity, of becoming this residence of emotional sustainability, of emotional maturity, of when we get out of our minds and into our hearts. So how many times, I can say this all the time, so like right now, take a deep breath with me. Take a breath and breathe that into your heart. Because even earlier this morning, I'm thinking, I need to go live in this group and Ignite Your Joyful Heart and remind them about the show today at noon. Didn't happen. We were out in the field longer. We went and had breakfast with our daughter and her family this morning. And I could have got in my mind and I could have got all wrapped up about that. So what are some of those steps that I've taken? Because I have people ask me this all the time. You say ignite your joyful heart, Tammy. What does that mean? Like, how do you not allow the emotions? But see, here's the thing. I do allow the emotions. I allow me to feel that emotion. I allow myself to feel that entanglement so I can start to unravel it. So how many of you, good morning, Cherise. So as we all start to join together, let me know that you can hear me. For one, I got to make sure y'all hear me. So let me know, if you will, either put a heart across the screen. Like I'm assuming, I just realized, like I'm assuming everybody can hear me. And my husband, I'm like, right before we're getting on, or maybe it was even recorded, I'm like, you know, everything you're doing in the kitchen, they can hear you. And so he tries to sneak out the sliding door that's right here. I'm thinking, man, go out the side door or go out the garage. That's not right here, right? So all of that in the past could have really pissed me off. But when we allow, like those little things like that, like, oh well. So how do we start to facilitate that change of other things that really trigger us? We need to be able to feel them. We need to allow ourselves to feel them. And I know I've talked about this before, but this is so important. This is so important to really get this of no longer putting the band-aids on these things that trigger us, of no longer stuffing it down, because it will come back to bite us. It will come back, especially later in life. As we allow, because triggers are emotion, right? Triggers are usually what set us off inside. And when we just want to, who wants to scream and shout? Like, but when we allow that emotion, that feeling, when we allow what I like, even the meltdown. Sunday morning, I had a little meltdown. That was only 4 days ago, if we count today. Had a little meltdown. But I allowed myself to have that. Because when we deny that, we deny the sacredness of who we are. We deny our truth. We deny who we are at such a level that we literally fragment pieces of our soul. And when we do that, when we're in self-judgment, because that's another thing that can happen, when we deny our emotion, when we deny our feelings, when we shove them down and push them back, or say not now, or say when we think we have to turn the other cheek, when we deny our emotion, we put them in a cage, and we actually become food, because we go into self-judgment, we go into denial, and we literally can become food for lower energies out there. They like it. These other energies, they like it when we deny who we are. Some people can call them energy entities, or I just say lower energies. Other people's thoughts, other people's emotions. We can actually take that on. When we acknowledge who we are, so right now, just take a deep breath, because I can feel that. I can feel that happening. Whether you're listening to this live or on a replay. I can feel those lower energies eating on other people. Because of how we've denied emotion. I even cussed a little bit this morning on the phone with this lady, not at her, but at the situation, because there was some frustration. She wasn't offended. She actually asked me, she actually said to me, "Thank you so much for your patience." Sometimes she's on the phone for 3 hours with people. Like, my mom doesn't like to hear the word fuck. What's wrong with it? If I need to say, fuck, this is frustrating, that emotion, that just using that word, like, that was my truth. That was my truth in that moment, trying to set up a cell phone. That's my truth. And if I need to say it, it's not that I'm out to offend anyone or my mother. I mean, she doesn't even like the shirt I wear that says, frickin' do it. Like the word frickin'. Well, you know what that really means. I don't care. See, that's not my hang up. That's hers. That's her hang up. You know what? You can be spiritual. You can be a healer. And you can still use a cuss word. That's life, man. And that's truth. I don't say cuss words just to trigger people. But if it does, it does. And that's their stuff, not mine. Sometimes things are just fucking frustrating. Ain't that right? Like, if we're just going to really be real with each other, ain't that right? It can be that. So when is the time that we truly get real? That we truly start to allow our emotions to speak, to be heard, to let them free. To let them free. Because I'm telling you, and this is truth, and I see this. Because the more we keep that inside of us, the more it festers like an old sore, like a big old pus pocket ready to pop. That's kind of a gross description, but it's true. It's like a boil ready to pop. And it'll manifest. I work with people that have debilitating ailments because they have not, will not, didn't know how, didn't know they could, didn't know they were capable of truly allowing their emotion to speak. I mean, look what's going on in the world right now, a week ago, because of the pent up rage and anger that people have never dealt with. They're getting triggered. And those triggers, in some ways, for some people, are causing havoc. Whether you're a hired manipulator. Okay, the truth is, well, you're a hired assassin. I don't know why that word's coming through. Not about just assassinating a person. It's about assassinating sovereignty. If you're hired to go in and wreak havoc, you in yourself have not taken care of your emotion. This deep down rage you have within you. I'm not saying it's easy. I'm not saying it's easy. But it's something we must look at. If we want to live in a world, if you desire to live in a world and live in which to me, my world is my life. That's where it starts. It starts in here. There is no way that we can create change on a foundational continued effort for a higher purpose to where it's sustainable if you're not working on your inner compass, if you're not working on your inner self, if you're not working on your emotional body, because things will trigger and they will take you out. And it's layer upon layer upon layer. And when we do this work, which we're doing over in the sacred sisterhood, the Emerald Compass Sacred Sisterhood, this is part of the work we're doing. This is foundational work so you can be the eye of the storm, so you can be that strength when other people look to who can guide me. We're being called up right now. We're being called up. We're not just being called up to work with our gifts. We're being called up to hold that space that others, there's people that are flipping scared and freaked out. Are you that kind of person that can hold that space so other people that are freaking out can actually have that freak out? That they can Thank you, Charisse. So let's go to the comments for a moment. Charisse says, assassin of lies and the old paradigm. Good morning to you, Charisse. She says, sometimes I swear like a trucker too, or a construction worker. Thank you for that. What is your true self? I remember a time, okay, Mom, I don't know why you're coming in so strong right now, but you are, because I remember, because there's another story in regards to my mom, where I remember one time when she was dating this guy, and I was flying to go see her, and she literally said to me, honey, don't wear too much makeup while you're here. Doc really doesn't like ladies with a lot of makeup. I don't give a shit. I'm not here to impress anybody. And this was probably 15 years ago. So for me to actually say that, because I was still working on speaking my truth. Okay. But when she told me that, I'm like, what the hell, man? So, but I'm glad she told me that. But it also showed me that I am not being, I don't care if this man likes me or not. If he wants to judge me, that's his thing. I'm not getting caught up in all that. But the fact that my mom didn't want me to wear too much makeup, I didn't even think, like, I never wore eyeliner then. Maybe it was too much cheek. I don't know. But the fact that she told me, it just like dawned, yeah, it like, now I could have allowed that to take me out, right? But instead, actually, now that I'm thinking about it, I think I told her, you know, Mom, I'm not here to impress this guy. If he don't like me, too bad for him. So how many times, this is also how our emotion plays with us. How many times do we not allow ourselves to be ourselves? I can feel the sorrow within beings, within the human bodies, because of the push down that has happened over millenniums, over millenniums of not being allowed to truly be ourselves. And that emotion has been carried forward through our ancestors. I even asked my hairdresser yesterday, she was doing my hair. I'm like, did you bring your feathers? Man, I forgot to call you. They're probably at your home, right? She's like, yeah, why? I'm like, I'm putting a feather back in my hair. I'm putting the feathers back in my hair that I loved years ago. I thought it looked cool. And that's what, like, that excites me. I've seen one of my coaches, she wears these feather earrings. I'm like, girl, I want some of those. Of course, I wouldn't wear them today because I was out working on, helping to clear the land from these weeds, these noxious weeds we were doing. But some of you have this inkling to be more outrageous within you, to dress more outrageous, to just be you, that other people, you might not think it's outrageous, but other people might think it is, but you've held yourself back because of how other people may judge you. And I've said this before, and I'm here to share it again. It's none of my business what other people think about me. It is none of my business what others think about me. Allow that to help to start to set this emotion free of being you, of we have to, thank you for that. We require to stop the suppression into our emotional bodies. And I'm not talking about going to burn something up. Because if we would have talked it out, whatever that emotion is, how many parents have a little one that's crying or a little one that, oh, you're fine. Just suck it up. Come on, let's keep going. But their feelings were really hurt about something. Hurt. And they just need to be heard. And as soon as somebody's heard, do you know that that alone facilitates the change within our emotional bodies? That opens us up into an empty space that allows our fragmented soul pieces to start to come back to us. To start to come back to us. Because every time that we put ourselves down or question ourselves or I don't know if this is a word, but it's coming so strong, self-deprecate ourselves, that we fragment ourselves. And that's where these lower energies feed upon us. And it's time to stop that feeding, that frenzy of feeding. They're not liking what I'm saying right now. I can feel them around me. But I also feel my entourage who's with me. I also feel the sacred grandmothers who are with me. I also feel my essence that's growing within me, getting brighter and brighter, that these lower energies can't feed on me. Because I'm taking care of my emotion. And if I need help, I reach out to it. I reach out not only to the emotion itself and ask it and ask it. Like, for instance, years ago, when I was working out with a coach, I asked, and it was a simple workout. It was so simple. But my left knee was aching. It hurt. I'm like, what the heck? And I asked my knee, what is it you want to say? And it said, I do not feel supported. Now, the first time when I started doing this work, and I'm like, holy shit, my knee really did talk to me. Your body will talk to you if you allow it to. And so I was with my knee. I kept working out with my coach. But what I did is I inside of me, I kept telling my knee, it's okay. I'm here with you. And I let that emotion, I did a lot of breath work in order to not start crying in the gym. And with doing that breath work, because this is one of the ways we start to facilitate the emotion that's coming up, the emotion that's talking to us, that's how we start to facilitate it to start to move through us. One of the ways is just breath work. And I say just, I just heard that, just breath work, but it's incredible how breathing deep, because here's the thing also, when we breathe into our heart space, so do that with me right now. Do that with me right now. Take that breath. And breathe into your heart space. Like, be in that. Because when we allow the emotion to come forth, the emotion that's stuck in our bodies, and to speak, and we're in the heart space when it speaks to us, then we're not up here in our mind judging it. We're not up here in our mind judging it. When we start to judge the emotion, how many of you have ever felt this? You start to feel something, emotion about something, or emotion about whatever it might be, whether it's sad or whether it's irritated, whatever that emotion might be. And then you say, well, that's stupid. You're calling yourself stupid for feeling that way. How many of you have done that? So in the process, you're telling that emotion that it's stupid. So why would it even want to share with you? Like, okay, so I could have said that. Let's go back to the story about my knee. When I was feeling that ache, when I was asking it, what is it you want to say? And it said, I don't feel supported. I could have had the thought, well, that's just stupid. Why would I think that? Why would I think that? I got a coach right here that's supporting me through this. And I would have downplayed, I would have dismissed that emotion that wants to trust me, that wants to be seen, wants to be heard, wants to be acknowledged because it's tired. How many of you feel exhausted, drained, lifeless on some level? And a lot of that is because we have this emotion that is stuck inside because it's tired. It's tired of being stuck inside of you. It's so tired of being stuck inside of you. And it drains you. How many grit your teeth? Did you know gritting teeth, gritting your jaw is unresolved, unacknowledged emotion stuck inside of you? So when we start to facilitate, this change and make this shift happen within us, when we look at how we're being triggered. I know I've talked about this before, but it bears worth repeating until we start to get it. And still, until we start to facilitate the change and make shift happen. Our spirits are crying out. The souls are wailing for change. I used to keep all the emotion inside of me, thinking I had to be the strong one, especially as a mom. Didn't want my kids to see my emotion too. Like I would tell them as I was raising them, Mom's had a bad day today. I need you guys to be on your best behavior. This would be like when I would pick them up from school. So we'd share that part. But I never knew back in my 30s, 20s, and 30s how to really facilitate change, how to share my emotion. Yeah, my husband left his phone. Yep, he did. Okay. Well, golly, this is something that I tell everybody. Please turn off your phone. And I didn't turn off mine. Actually, that was my phone. My new phone. Yes, even still has the new like, yeah, I haven't even taken off the screen thingy. And I don't know how to turn it off. But let's see if I can. Oh, is that how I turn it off? I have no idea. Okay, it just showed me something on there. I can turn it down. I'm doing that. I'm even scared to even hold it because I don't have a case for it yet. But see, I just shared that out loud, and it was real. It was real. Like just that little thing of the phone going off. And now I don't even know what I was talking about. And inside there's this little thought going, oh, well, now you look like a doofus. But I'm not letting that take a hold of me. Years ago, that would have been a trigger. That would have like really triggered me and made me pissed about it. And now it's just like, okay, I'm just going to go with the flow. Because life is about flow, right? Oh. If we allow it to be flow. So back to how things, when we keep our emotion inside of us, when we don't allow to facilitate that change, when we don't know how to. I didn't know how to in my 20s and 30s, and it literally almost killed me. I could feel one specific night, I could feel my soul ready to leave. Somehow I knew, I was around 40, I'm 58 now. Somehow I knew that if I went to sleep that night, that I would not wake up the next morning. My soul was done. It was done. I was not speaking my truth. I was not expressing, not even working with my emotion. I kept shoving it down and shoving it down and shoving it down instead of allowing it to be with me. That's how it manifested for me. It almost took me out of this lifetime because I shoved so much down and I was carrying forth, which I didn't know then. And I worked a lot on that and through that now and healed that, is I was carrying the emotion of my ancestors too. And that's part of what we work with. Whether you work with me one-on-one or work with me in our Emerald Compass Sacred Sisterhood, we are facilitating the change. We are making the shift happen in there. We even do that a little bit here in our group, Ignite Your Joyful Heart, here in our Facebook group. Right now, I can feel the shifting happen. Being in the sacred container with each other, whether you're live here or whether you're on the replay. When we start to know ourselves, this is a start to know thyself, is when you allow your emotion to come forth and speak to you. So what's another way to facilitate that? Pen to paper. Pen to paper, that's one of the things I have my clients do. If they need to start to feel that emotion, write it down. Write it down. If you don't have somebody to speak to, if you're afraid of hearing it, if you're afraid it's going to take you out, I work with people all the time that They're afraid that their emotion will take them out, that they'll start bawling so much. So here's the thing. So even when you're working with somebody and the emotion comes up, it's not about explaining it. Being with somebody that can hold the space. And here's something else for all you healers. I want you to hear what I'm about to say. Okay, so you take a drink for a moment. When we start to facilitate emotional healing and clearing, people start to speak about it, or they start to feel it. And they're in it and allowing it to come forth, and they're crying, or even like, ugh, like allowing the sound to come out. When you do that, it's not about reaching out to them and hugging them and touching them and holding them, because that can actually take them out. Because when you want to hug somebody, I want you to be discerning about this. The natural response for most women is to reach out and hug somebody. Oh, honey, like, oh, honey, I'm so sorry. Like, you're thinking that, oh, they need a hug. Who says they need a hug? Is it you that needs the hug? They need to be able to, like, their body needs to facilitate that emotion. Their body needs to facilitate that emotion. And at least so much of the time, if we're present with somebody in person, when we even reach out with a hand, like, there is such a thing as just holding space for them to facilitate the emotion. Because when we even reach out with a hand, I still remember this in one of the workshops I was doing, and the facilitator, this energy teacher, this woman started crying, and other women were going like, oh, honey, like, just feel that, if you can, feel, like, even hear that energy. Oh, honey, like, you want, it's like you're downplaying their emotion, you're dismissing their, like, no. And he yelled, he's like, don't you dare touch her. Because that person needed to facilitate the change within by allowing her emotional body, her physical body, emotionally, spiritually, physically, mentally, to facilitate that emotion of coming out. All those levels it worked on. So really want you to think. I really want you to be in your heart. It's not always about reaching out and touching the other. Is it you that needs the hug? Is it you that wants to feel the comfort? Because you really, ooh, they're crying. They're all emotional. Ooh, if I hug them, it'll settle them down. Maybe they're not to be settled down quite yet. They will settle down when they're done with the processing. How many of you can resonate with that? Like, maybe it's even shifting something new in you. Of like, oh, I never thought about that. I was working with two people, with a couple one time over the phone. they're both healers in their own way. The man was having a breakthrough. Very rare. He was having a breakthrough. And his partner was reaching out to him. And I'm like, no, don't touch him. But before I could even get that out of my mouth, she did. I could see him start to close down. So we had to go back and rework some of that stuff. Some people, like it's coddling. In some respect, it's coddling. People don't need to be coddled. That can actually take us out of truly facilitating, a full facilitation, a full change of emotion being worked with. Sometimes it's better just to go, like, do this on your own. Like, there's times when I've gone out, like, just go, like, out on the ground and on my hands and knees and just bawled. That's what I did. Okay, so Sunday morning, I didn't want anybody in the house to hear me. Not that I didn't want them to hear me, but I don't need their attention on me. And I just went outside so I could be with that emotion I was feeling. Be with it all. I allowed myself to cry. I was barefoot with the ground because I then knew Mama Earth would help to facilitate the change. She would help to make this shift happen. How many of you are resonating with this? Do you have any questions or thoughts? Just go ahead and type them in the text chat. Working with our emotion. Seeing where we're triggered. Facilitating that change. So remember the two different things I gave you is breath work, breathing into the heart, to truly to allow. And when you allow this emotion come forth, it's not about judging yourself. When we take ourselves down, when we start to judge ourselves, and then we add in the guilt, because the guilt will just come along because we're judging ourselves. If you cannot do this on your own, I encourage you, I invite you to reach out to somebody that can help you until you are at that space where you are able to facilitate it on your own. And that other process, pen to paper, write in cursive. There's something powerful about white paper with no lines. White paper, so I'll use computer paper every now and then. White paper with blue ink. And just facilitating that, like just write. Allow all that emotion, that anger. I had to do this with both of my parents. Both of my parents, I did this years ago. Not that I gave them that letter, but it helped me to purge my emotion out of me. I kept it. 3 days later, I read it again. I read what I wrote. And it was it was really enlightening. I don't know. It was such a, to me, it was actually a miracle that, like, wow, I don't feel that strong of emotion anymore. because I allowed myself to speak it through the written word. Through the written word. And if that's how you need to do it, if that's what works best for you, then be okay with it and do it that way. To help you to start to facilitate the change within you. Golly. Because your soul is asking you for this. Those sacred parts of you, those fragmented parts of you that want to come back home. Because when we facilitate this change, when we finally allow our emotional body to be set free, this is a work of a lifetime. This is a lifetime work. Because as we start to facilitate with these layers that are on top, then we can go deeper and deeper. And some of these things are even from other lifetimes that will come up. I just had that experience personally yesterday. I'm very particular on who I work with. And I knew that I required some help. And I have my specific ones I work with. And you want to be very discerning about that. If you need help to work with those that you know and you trust within you at a cellular, molecular level, that there's no judgment, that you are welcomed fully, and that they are fully present with you. That is a gift when you find someone like that. Hang on to them. Not hang on like, but you know what I mean. Work with them. That's what I offer. Anybody that's ever worked with me will tell you that. They're stunned. I remember even when wow, he's probably passed away now. I used to be a sales rep, executive sales rep for a broadband company. I had no idea why I was led to that job, but I didn't know then. I know now. But if you would have told me 14 years ago, oh, Tammy, you're going to go sell broadband, I'm like, what are you talking about? I don't know technical stuff. But by working in that company, it led me to a lot of different people, a lot of different contacts. I remember this one gentleman. Wow, I haven't thought about this for a long time. And I was his sales rep. And the few times we got together, he was probably in his 80s at that time. He would just start sharing things with me. Very, very personal things. And I just sat there and I listened. But by sitting there and listening, I was holding space. It wasn't just sitting there and listening. I was inside of me, okay? So I've been doing this work for decades. I was inside of me, being in that stream of compassion and purity, holding space with compassion, which he must have sensed, because he was just purging all these different things. And I think he must have known that his life was going to come to an end soon. And that he must have needed to do that. Okay, so anyway, and he's just sharing and sharing it. And then all of a sudden he stops himself. And he says, "Oh my God, Tammy, what planet are you from? I never have told anybody what I just told you." And it freaked him out a little bit because he couldn't believe how he just like, blah, like he just, everything within him just like his stories, like it was almost like how people say just throw up on paper like all your words. It was just like all the stuff that he's held inside of him for so long just came pouring out like the dam had broke. And all these stories, he's just like, and I know he got scared a little bit, like, and I reassured him, what you share with me is safe. And he was just stunned. He's like, there was no one in his life he could have revealed those stories to. And I could see his whole body shift, like even lighten up. Like there was a breath of life that was now streaming through him. Parts of him were free. And his fragmented soul pieces from those stories, from those moments, from those experiences were now coming back to him in that moment. See, we can facilitate change. We can facilitate. I didn't need to reach out to him. I didn't need to like hold his hand or say, "Oh, poor you." No, I sat there in presence, being present with him inside, in the heart space, in my compassion, in pure compassion, with no judgment. You all can do this. You all can do this. You have that capability within you. And others need you to start showing up. So I encourage you to start working on your emotional body. To start allow those emotions that are so I fucking want to be free. Okay, I said it. Like I can feel them. I can see them. I can see them in a cage with chains. There's chains wrapped around. Somebody that's listening to this has that much emotion. Some buddies that's going to be listening to this or listening to this right now has so much locked in. And remember, this may not even be yours. We require to work on this, to heal at this level in order to truly, sustainably create change. So either start writing, start some breath work, and that will start to facilitate allowing your emotions to truly speak through you and create the change within you, the healing within you that is desired. And in my books, in my thought, required in order to be your sacred self in such a way that you will walk and talk your purity and your truth of who you are in your life going forward. Thank you so much. Thank you, thank you, thank you for joining me here today on this makeshift happen spiritual variety show. If you have any thoughts, comments, questions, feel free to message me directly if you need to. What would really help also is posting them right here in the Facebook group, because as we share, as we ask, as we comment, we open this up for others to feel like they can come forth and comment and share also. It's like your comment was an invitation for somebody else to come forward too. Thank you, everyone. Until next week, much love.